Hello, this is Jane Goodall, and thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this important virtual gathering. And because we're all separated, or most of us, I think the best way to start would be a distance call that many of you will be familiar with, a distance greeting. Well, me, Jane. Anyway, we're actually separated because the world is going through a very chaotic time. And there's a great deal of suffering. People have lost their lives, their loved ones, their jobs. People have risked and sometimes lost their lives fighting on the front line, delivering help to those who are sick, for those who are stranded. There's a lot of unhappiness and fear. But the tragedy is we brought this all on ourselves because we have ignored the repeated warnings of scientists studying zoonotic diseases that this pandemic was bound to happen sooner or later. And it's because we have disrespected the natural world, we've disrespected animals. We've destroyed, for example, forests, forcing animals to come closer and closer together. And this enables bacteria and viruses to sometimes jump the species barrier. Occasionally, this creates a new disease. And animals are pushed in closer contact with people as we invade their homes and destroy their own natural foods and build roads deeper in, more and more contact with the animals, with hunters, and so forth. And again, this creates another opportunity for bacteria and viruses to spill over into a human being, and occasionally a new disease that then can be passed from person to person. And we have disrespected animals. We've hunted them, killed them, eaten them, and trafficked them. Animals from different places and different species that normally would have no contact with each other are trafficked, for example, to the wildlife markets in Asia. And there, very often in unhygienic conditions, always in extremely brutal conditions, these animals are sold. And again, there's an amazing opportunity for these bacteria and viruses to jump over into a human. Because of the unhygienic conditions, the seller and the buyer can be contaminated with blood, urine, and feces. And this is what is thought to have happened with the meat market, the wet market in Wuhan, that led to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the coronavirus, bonded with a human cell and created this new disease, which could then pass from human to human, and so rapidly has spread around the world. And as I say, this is what was predicted. It's not just the wildlife markets of Asia. There's the bushmeat markets across Africa and other parts of the world. HIV/AIDS, that horrific pandemic, was started in 2 different parts of Central Africa by the butchering and selling of chimpanzees and chimpanzee meat. So we are terribly worried. Chimpanzees are so like us in their biology that almost certainly they can be infected with COVID-19. We don't know how this would affect them, but we're terribly worried in Gombe and other people who are trying to protect wild chimpanzees and the chimpanzees in our sanctuaries. In sanctuaries, it's not so difficult to protect the chimpanzees because you keep visitors out and you make sure that the caregivers are wearing proper protective clothing and the food is carefully cleaned. But what about in the wild? There are no boundaries. People come in, chimpanzees and other primates can go out. No wonder we're worried at Gombe. No wonder we're worried in Senegal. No wonder we're worried in Uganda and Burundi and other places where the Jane Goodall Institute and others are working to protect chimpanzees, already an endangered species. This is one new danger. Gombe and the surrounding area, Msito Nagala, is a UNESCO biosphere reserve, and there people and animals are encouraged to live together in harmony. This means a lot of education so that people understand. It also means finding ways for people to make a living without destroying the natural world, while preserving their environment. And a healthy environment depends on the biodiversity of the area. We have to protect not only the chimpanzees, but the other amazing animals and the plants and the trees that make up these ecosystems. So we are working very hard to help the people to find other ways of living, to improve education and health. Our youth program, Roots and Shoots, is working to educate the young people in the schools and the adults about the danger of destroying the environment. It's not just to protect wildlife, it's to protect their own future. And so hopefully a gathering like this will bring together people with ideas on how to move forward towards a better world post-COVID-19. Because if we carry on with business as usual, then there's little hope for the future of humankind on planet Earth. The factors that have led to COVID-19, the disrespect of nature and animals, is a contributing factor to climate change. We'll get through this pandemic as we have got through others. Climate change is an existential threat. And I'm hoping that the silver lining to this pandemic is firstly finding ways to live, to show greater respect for animals and nature. And just as an aside, it's not just these wildlife markets, it's our intensive animal farming, industrial animal farming, the factory farms. These too lead to often unhygienic, certainly cruel conditions. It's another environment where bacteria, viruses have spilled over into humans. And so let's all hope that we can get together and be strong and find a new way of living post-COVID-19 to develop together a new green economy, to learn respect, not to go back to the old ways that are leading to destruction of life on planet Earth as we know it. Thank you.